Do you have PCOS, and not only do you want to get pregnant, but do you also want to feel healthy? If that's you, then welcome to the PCOS Fertility Health Podcast. Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Potter, an integrative PCOS fertility specialist, and I'm here to share with you the tools that you need to help your body get prepped for baby. Let's go. Hello there. It's your host, Dr. Angela Potter here, and I have got something exciting for you today. Today's episode is a co-hosted episode between myself and Dr. Tien Promlap. She is an amazing pharmacist and also a fierce supporter of PCOS and fertility. Her and I are talking about common misconceptions, what's going on in the medical world that's leading to women like yourself not getting the care that they need, and supportive ways to support PCOS fertility. So let's head on over to our conversation now.
We're going to do a little cool, different. So it's not so much an interview style, but we're doing a co-host. So I'm sitting down today with Dr. Angela Porter. So she is a functional medicine naturopathic doctor and nutritionist, as well as creator of PCOS fertility protocol. And she helps so many women in this PCOS fertility era that to kind of really individualize and find the root cause of how to really get them to get pregnant naturally. What I also love about her approach is that she kind of is on a similar line with my approach, where we use evidence-based, because we're both from a science background. I'm a pharmacist, she's a functional doctor. And then we also use real-world approach and naturopathic holistic version to kind of blend in our approach to really help women get the best of both worlds. So I kind of want to give the floor to Dr. Angela to introduce herself to our listener, and then we'll get going. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tian. I am thrilled to be here with you. And I love that because, yeah, we do have similar styles about approaching PCOS, which is so important. And like you said, I am a functional medicine doctor, and I really see my approach as helping my patients get their bodies prepped for baby. So understanding all these different reasons why they're having irregular cycles and not ovulating, and then getting to a place where they are able to see these results in their body and see these changes and get their bodies prepped for baby.
Awesome. Yeah, prepping for baby is actually a crucial things to do before even thinking about trying to conceive. And that's one of the mistakes that I actually made jumping into this journey myself during the pandemic. That's when everyone my age was trying. So since the world slowed down, I had nothing else better to do but also to try for a baby. We weren't going to try until maybe 35, actually. I think I just turned 30 at the time. And then we wanted to travel. We had just gotten married. So I didn't prep, and it took me 2 years to actually conceive. So prepping is super important. Wouldn't you say? Yeah.
Well, yes, I think that's a big misconception for many with PCOS, is this idea like, oh, well, I'm a woman or I have female organs, so I should just be able to get pregnant. And then when it doesn't happen, it's just this surprise, like, okay, I do have to prep, but what does that even mean, right? Like, that's not talked about very commonly in the medical world, to prep your body. And yet it's such an important piece.
Yeah, because when I started asking my physician, my general doctor, that I'm, starting to try for a baby, and then things weren't really going yet. And she's, oh, you're young, you're healthy. There's nothing going on. And so just start trying. So their version of a prep is to get you off of birth control and then send you on your way. Just start trying, right? So I kind of want to talk about our first topic, is that what we wish more women with PCOS knew about getting pregnant. So I think prepping is one of them, right? And then I also hear a lot of women coming to me saying that the doctor, tell them just lose weight. with PCOS, and that's a common one that I hear
Mhm,
about. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about weight and
mhm.
prepping for pregnancy with PCOS.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, because that they intertwine there, right? Because some women think like, okay, losing weight is a version of prepping for
Mhm.
baby,
That's true.
which it could be for certain women, but honestly, for who I work with, what I see is that if the focus is only on that weight piece, then we're forgetting all of these other important elements that are needed for getting ready for baby. Like if a doctor just says, "We'll only lose weight," then they're overlooking the fact that maybe this person, has their insulin levels are elevated, or they have other hormones that are out of balance, or their vitamin D is deficient. And so it like kind of pinholes people and it forgets about all these other important parts of that
Right.
fertility prep. What do you see in that?
That I normally agree with. Weight can be a factor, and sometimes it does help in certain situation. But when I approach weight, especially in PCOS in women, because there's so much stigma and mental health associated with weight loss, and a lot of my clients don't even like weighting themselves on the scale. And for myself, especially too, I don't look overweight, but because I'm a woman and we're all affected by media and society pressure and the image of what we should look like. So body image has always been an issue for me, and I know a lot of women can relate to that. So I don't even really touch on weight. I know the approach that we take, the weight will come up like naturally with the up leveling of the nutrition to really support their egg quality and getting them on the right track of prepping. Going back to that, weight comes off naturally because one of my clients who worked with me recently, she has worked with an intuitive coach a couple summer before because she has emotional eating, I think.
Mhm,
And she mentioned that with my approach, she lost more weight than she ever did with the intuitive eating and other dietitian that she worked with before, because weight loss has always been a big deal for her. And
mhm.
her doctor was, I think, pushing like weight loss medication already.
Yeah.
So that's how I normally approach weight. I take it as a goal of the client, but I
Mhm.
don't make it such a big deal where we're stuck on the number because I don't like getting bogged down on the number. I love looking at your health, even though it's PCOS, right, and getting pregnant as a
Mhm.
whole, instead of just the weight, like you said, like getting bogged down on just one factor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that you bring in that piece about the body image and how we just like that mindset piece. And I think for us as practitioners, it's really important to create that safe space to say, okay, or to not even talk about weight, right? And to set these women up with that really nourishing nutrition plan, or, helping to correct certain deficiencies that then create this body that's really nourished and prepped for baby. And then, okay, maybe if weight loss happens, okay, that's like a side effect, right, of what we're doing, but
It's
it's
a good
not.
side effect though, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Weight is always a thing. I mean, every time anybody talks to me, like in like the pre questionnaire that I have for them for what is your goals with this, weight is always there. And sometimes it's like, oh, I don't really have a number, but I feel like I should look a certain way. Some of them will have a specific number and be like, oh, I'm not there yet. But it's funny because men, they don't really worry too much about weight, I don't think. Or maybe I'm just stereotypically thinking about women only and I forget about the men, honestly.
I think probably for the men, it might be more about, like, that body shape, like,
Mhm.
that really kinda chiseled look, and
That's
but,
true.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think they
Can't
like
speak for them.
heavier weight sometimes even and not too thin for men, but
Uh-huh.
that's besides the point. So let's
Right.
move on from weight. I think another important piece of this pregnancy puzzle with PCOS that I want more women to know is, I guess, tracking ovulation, but in a sense that not so much stressful way than most people are using, like checking or peeing on a stick every single day,
Mm.
or like looking at an app, or maybe they see this ad for a fancy device that will track everything and you don't gotta do nothing, right? And then get you pregnant, yada yada. And it's like $100 and you have to subscribe to this. So like that version of ovulation tracking is something I want to kind of pull away from and actually help them understand their body natural sign of ovulation, because your body is
Mhm.
telling you a lot of things. We just never have time to listen, right? What do you think about tracking ovulation?
Yes, I love that because, well, there's even issues with those ovulation trackers outside of the temperature tracking. I am a big fan of temperature
No,
tracking.
me too. I do like that.
Yeah. But, like the P strips, the LH strips, they're not 100% one for one. Yes, you did ovulate. So when you're actually able to listen to your body's signs and see your own body's changes, that's going to give you so much better information about your
Yeah.
ovulation.
Yeah, I think the point I was making too, I love base body temperature tracking because it's like the only predictor. I mean,
Mhm.
not predictor, it's confirming of ovulation, right?
Yeah.
So it's more than it's more like using that on top of understanding, say, your cervical mucus, for example, and any other physical changes that you have throughout your cycle, so that you know what your cycle look like for you and not other people, because everybody will have different, like some have tenderness of breasts, cramping here and there, maybe acne. Like when my period's about to come, I'll have a little breakout, but it's not like
Mhm.
a whole much, like way before I had horrible breakout before I'd done all this prep and up leveling of my nutrition. But that's what I'm going for, I think, instead of like getting so bogged down on, oh, I need like this best device that this influencer is using, like that's what I'm trying to go away from, and using multiple methods to confirm ovulation is what I'm all about. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so easy for us to get pinned into this idea that a 28-day cycle is the perfect cycle. But there are women who have 28-day cycles who don't ovulate, and there are women who have like 31-day cycles and they do ovulate and they have a really healthy fertile cycle. And so if you're able to be on track with your body's own signs and symptoms for ovulation, then you're going to know regardless of how many days the
Right.
cycle is.
That's funny because I just spoke to a prospective client yesterday, and she was telling me that she has, I think, a 38-day cycle, and then it was 32. So she was asking me, like, are th- is these number normal, and what do you think about cycle length? And I said, like you just said, the number isn't so much what I care about. I care about if you actually do ovulate or not, because pregnancy is our end goal. And even if pregnancy isn't the end goal now, we need to have that strong ovulation, because you can have your cycle and you could be not ovulating, like you don't really know, because she's not tracking. I don't think she's like quite ready for pregnancy yet, but she wanted to get ahead of the game and prep her body, which is actually really smart. So I commended her for that. But yeah, like you said, the number of the cycle days isn't really a big deal so much in PCOS, at least I think, because I like that ovulation to actually happen,
Mhm.
for us to really confirm anything. And then the strong luteal phase, because if that's too short, we can't really support a healthy pregnancy anyways. Which I think is kind of leading us to the next topic. We want to talk about the myths that we see. Although I feel like we've kind of been talking about that, but
They mix together.
yeah, the one of them that I like to kind of talk about is IVF is the only option. I love IVF though, because I just spoke to another coach who prep women for IVF. So
Cool.
I love the science, right? And I love that it helps so many women becoming moms.
Mhm.
But I don't want our like if you only been trying for a couple months, 6 months, a year, and then your doctor is like, hey, things not working. Let's do IVF. Like that's why I don't enjoy our physician are giving our patient this like one or nothing kind of option. Like, is there anything else you could try? Oh yeah, there's a lot of things you could try. What do you feel about IVF as like the only option? Myths in our
Yeah, I think it's such an important myth to talk about. And I was just talking a little while ago with somebody today about that. And she has been trying to get pregnant and, went forward with an IUI, is
Mm,
having normal cycles, but not ovulating. And then her doctor's like, well, that IUI didn't work. So your next step is IVF and it's $25,000. Like, are you ready? And she's like, but I don't even know why I'm not ovulating. Like, why would I move forward to IVF if I don't feel like my body's healthy? And
mhm.
if I were able to get my body to a place where it felt healthy and then I did need IVF, well, that makes more sense, right? I feel like that would be a good investment and it's a time when I'm ready for that. And so I think for my position as a doctor, I talk about that. Like it's not that IVF is bad. I'm not here to give that kind of information. It's just that it's not being recommended at the right part of the
Yeah,
process.
that's
There's
true.
so much to talk about before
It's
IVF.
so early. Like there is just recommending so early now where no one's understand what's going on yet and then no one even had time to prep. One of my colleague actually I think from pharmacy school reached out last year and she has only been trying for a year, I think.
Mhm,
And her doctor already mentioned IVF to her. And I said, yeah, I mean it is an option, but
mhm,
it's expensive. And we don't know what's going on with you yet, right? And no, I don't know why we're not taking the time to figure out. I mean, as a pharmacist, it was pretty busy, you
mhm,
know, and she's a pharmacist too. So
mhm,
I figure most of us are ambitious and we're busy with either work or some of them are coming to me already have kids and wanting more kids. So they
mhm.
have toddlers running around and they have a busy life. So I think that's why no one is looking at what's going on. What do you think about,
Yeah, yeah.
timing of everything?
Well, I think that also brings up another important myth about PCOS. And a lot of providers are talking about how it's actually not possible to get pregnant when you have PCOS without IVF. And so we need to, help this understanding spread that no, there are actual steps that you can take.
Is Dr. Lab here interrupting your episode? I recently had one of my previous coworker from the pharmacy world asking me about products that I use and that I recommend to really help bring down the blood sugar. And I feel like I never actually put together a list of pantry staples, fridge essentials, snacks that I love. I've always kind of individually suggested these to my clients who are trying to conceive, who has insulin resistance with PCOS, who is still trying to enjoy life and have great snacks. So when this old colleague um, asked me, I thought maybe I should put together a list of everything that I do use and recommend, which is exactly what I did and what I'm going to share with you guys today. So if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, you're able to see my screen, my video. But if you're listening on the podcast, no worries. I will link everything in the podcast note as well. But so this is the website that I created recently, and I'm so excited to share this with you all. So this is basically everything PCOS fertility friendly products curated by me that is going to be so delicious if we're talking about the snacks, or if it's supplement, then it's very helpful, right? All right. So this is basically a little sneak peek into my pantry. So this is all the snack that I love. So the first one we got here is this That's It dark chocolate fig truffles. I recently found this one. Super excited about that. And the next one is this undercover chocolate quinoa crisps. So everything is linked and everything is wholesome. Everything is low in sugar and everything is PCOS fertility friendly. If you look at this list, a lot of them are chocolate. A lot of them has fruits and oats and quinoa and chia seeds, all of the fertility PCOS superfood that I love without sacrificing that cravings for a snack or sweet or a treat. I even have this popcorn chip here, which is a recent obsession as well. And so everything is also categorized. We have my snacks at the top of the list, and then we move on into the fridge items. And the Forager organic Greek style yogurt is my latest obsession for a replacement in a dairy-based yogurt. This one is cashew-based, but it also has 10 grams of protein. And the protein comes from rice protein, which is an interesting new ingredient that I haven't seen other plant-based products used. And then I also have my other yogurt that I love, Siggy's, and my favorite milk is Rebel. So none of these are sponsored because I would love them to sponsor me, but maybe it's one day in the future. But anyway, I buy Rebel milk every single week. I would stock up at least 3 bottles at a time, so I'm obsessed with it. And I always recommend organic pasture-raised eggs to my clients. Of course, flax seeds. And then we move on into my pantry stable. So it's of good stuff. And I use all of these. I wouldn't recommend anything that I don't love or use or know for sure that it's good for your insulin resistance and blood sugar and fertility. It's hard enough to know what to eat for fertility, right? So that's why I put together this list so that you get an idea and you can actually, because everything is linked to, you can purchase them through this website. I also created a fertility kitchen essential, everything that I use to make all of the meals that I put together in my 32 recipe book for fertility. You can find that on my website as well. If you guys want that, I can link that as well. I think I linked my fertility book in the show notes before. Yeah. And then we move on into fertility safe products, has my favorite prenatal, the pre-seed lubricant, and a couple other things. So I'm going to be updating this list regularly as I come across new items. So I really want you guys to, visit this site and find out if this is for you. So the website is theleap.co/creator/tan_promlab_ttc, but I will link this in the show notes so that you don't have to write it down. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
There's things to understand about your body, ways to enhance your hormones and your nutrition and your fertility in a way that you can get to a place where your body can do it naturally. Sure, maybe not everybody with PCOS, and that's when that IVF is really helpful, but it is possible to see these changes. It's not like you have PCOS and your body is stuck like this
Mhm.
forever. What do
That's
you think about
actually the
that?
next myth, that
Yeah.
you won't get pregnant with PCOS naturally, and it's definitely not true. So for my case, that's how I got pregnant. I actually got my OBGYN prescribed me letrozole and Provera. So
Mhm,
Provera is something to jumpstart your bleeding, not ovulation. And then letrozole is a ovulation induction medication. I had those because I already knew that would be something I would try if I couldn't get pregnant naturally. As a
mhm.
pharmacist, I already have my drugs lined up, right? Like that's just how I function. So I had that prescribed. I picked up the medication, but I never had to use it. I said that this is my plan B. I'm gonna give my body maybe 3 to 4 months to prep. At the time, I'm not even like this aware of what I was doing. Like
Okay.
now that I help my clients actually use the 3 to 6 month prep time to help them get optimized. But at the time, I was just thinking like this make more sense to wait and then let's see what my body can do. And within that 4 months, I got pregnant naturally, and I got my cycle to actually because if you guys haven't heard already, and I know I haven't told Dr. Angela, but my cycle was non-existent pretty much. I think I would have like two cycle in a year at the
Mhm,
most. And I got it to 28 days, which was kind of funny. Now we talked about how 28 days isn't really uh what we look for, but that's just what happened. But you have to understand too, I was able to do that because I was already pretty healthy. I'm a healthcare professional, so I had the resources and it's my body type, whatever it is. This is not so that you need to do what I did or your fertility journey need to look like mine. This is just an example of how you can actually get pregnant naturally when you have the resources and you are able to listen to your body and have guidance and support. So I was that for myself, and now I am that for my client. But we wouldn't really recommend fumbling with Google and going through that route. Could be not great either. What do you
mhm.
feel about Dr. Google for
Yeah.
clients?
Well, fundamentally, us as healthcare providers, like we can't put information online that says this is the path forward, right? Like this is the one thing that you need. And so when somebody is Googling information, they're just going to get more generalized information that's not going to be specific to their needs. And particularly with PCOS, I'd be curious to see what you think about this. But what I see is that all of my patients need a specific individualized plan. Like they have different issues that are going on. They have a different health history and different reasons why they're not ovulating, why they aren't pregnant. And so I have to be really specific to what their needs are, which they're not going to get on Dr. Google.
Yes, for sure. So individualized, I think, is a big part of helping them understand how their body function. And each person, like you said, have a different body type, even,
Hmm.
genetic makeup and their upbringing is different, and their lifestyles are different.
Hmm.
So the individualized part has to be there, along with like our more generalized, approach too, because I have created some sort of like a course, if you will, where it goes over everything, but not everybody will have to do all of the thing because
Hmm.
I talk about thyroid in there. I talk about vitamin D deficiency. You mentioned that. So not everybody has that, right? Some people, there's another thing that I talk in there about like celiac disease where you have to like really avoid gluten, but not everybody will have to do that with PCOS. And some people have cysts in the ovaries, some people don't because not everybody with PCOS will have cysts in the ovaries. So yeah, I do love the individualized approach to our clients as well. I think that's how they really thrive to have someone actually looking at their history and going over what we can pull from our knowledge and our resources that can help them. I think is a big piece of the puzzle. And since we're talking about, what works and what doesn't work, so let's kind of go over actually you already mentioned individualized plan matter more than protocols, which is great, right?
Yeah.
And then how nutrition, supplement, and ovulation strategy looks different from person to person. And that's really true too. Because some people I don't really recommend supplements. Some people I will recommend supplements. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's completely in line with that individualized needs and to understand. I think a lot of people that I'm working with, they've been trying to get pregnant for 6 years, 7 years, 11 years, and that's a long time to be going through fertility. And so, well, two parts to this. One, they've had so many years of certain deficiencies or hormone imbalances that I usually do use supplements because we've got to like
Yeah.
overcompensate. And then because they've been trying to get pregnant for so long, like they want to get their bodies prepped for baby and they know that that will take a little bit more time. It's not going to happen next cycle.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's been so many years, they're like, "Just give me the plan that's going to help me see the results," right? And so I find that I do use supplements quite a bit, but also having a nutrition background, that is a huge part of what I'm
Yeah,
working
for
on as
sure.
well.
No,
Yeah.
I do agree because when you mentioned they've been trying for that many years, that is when I also pulled out my supplements too.
Mhm.
I do have women who are just starting out. So that's when I kind of put a pause on supplement, which makes sense, right? Where you let your body kind of figure it out first and then you add on supplement. But most of these women who has just started trying and not even ready yet, they already are on supplements and they don't even know what's going on with the list of supplements. So that's why I kind of like scale it down a bit, girl. Like that's a lot of pills to take, and this is coming from a pharmacist. So I know the pill burdens through my almost 10 years. That's crazy. As a pharmacist, we were just talking about how long ago I graduated pharmacy school, and my friend was all, "We're not old." Yes, we are. We are. But yeah, the pill burdens that a lot of patients go through is, I think, haunting me. So, and then I don't enjoy giving out supplements that much, but it is necessary for certain women, which I agree in your case. When I've been trying for a lot, that's important too. And I wanted to now kind of pivot over to because we've been talking about how your approach and my approach. So let's kind of clarify that for our listener and our audience. Um, how a functional doctor approach a PCOS and individualized care, and how pharmacists approach this. If you want to kind of go over um your coaching, what is it called? I'm sorry, can you remind?
The PCOS fertility protocol.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
On your website trying to search for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all
Yes. Go ahead and kind of
good.
walk people through what that looks like, and if they sign up to work with you, what can they expect, sort of thing.
Yeah, right. So, how I'll do that is I'll walk you through somebody who was working with me and what I did with her. And so, this person I'm thinking about, she had been trying to get pregnant for about 6 years, had been working with other doctors, just getting dismissed, really being told your labs are fine. We don't know what to do for you. Go forward, just do IVF. She's like, "I don't wanna do that because my cycles are irregular. Why are my labs fine and my cycles are still irregular?" Right? And so when she started working with me, what I do is start walking my patients through my PCOS fertility protocol. And that starts with getting clarity. So I ordered labs for this person and talked through her medical history and all her symptoms and got clear on okay, these are certain deficiencies, certain nutrients that she was deficient in, got a clear picture of what her hormones were doing through lab work. And then I like to work on PCOS types. So figuring out, okay, is insulin an issue? Is stress an issue? Is inflammation an issue? And that just helps again that clarity piece. So then it guides me to set up the plan. And so then I create a plan, like for this person, created a plan for her that addressed what was coming up for her. But then as we move forward, also walking through what are these PCOS pillars that are most important. So we talk about PCOS nutrition, we talk about egg quality, we talk about gut health. So I help my patients understand, is gut health an issue? And if it is, what to do about that.
Mm.
We talk about detox, kind of the importance of lowering exposure to environmental toxins and then how to help the body just move toxins through more efficiently. And so, like with this person, we did that and she was starting to have regular cycles and she wasn't quite ovulating yet. So, it's like that layers. There's always layers to healing. And so then I was able to help her with, at that point, it was some nutrition changes. And then she started ovulating, and it was about 6 months into working with me. And then she was able to get pregnant naturally.
Yay, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
6-month mark is like where things are happening for a lot of
Yeah.
women too. It's like the first 3 months we're prepping, and then 6 months is when things are looking good and I'm getting pregnant. That's like a similar timeline of one of my clients as well. But I love that you're able to order labs and get clear because for my approach, I don't have that ability. Um, I really only focus on the nutrition part most of the time, and then I do focus on mindset and stress, nervous system regulation, coaching a little bit. So that's what I think might be the difference with, for sure, the labs thing. I do interpret their labs. So if clients start with me, right, I have this one-on-one 60 minutes strategy session is what I call it. And they would have already filled out this ginormous questionnaire so that I know what's going on with them. Like I ask question on there, like about their medical history, like their parents and all of that, right? And what supplement you're taking, what medication you're taking. So just getting a clear picture, like you said, to a clarity for myself and them so that I can come up with a plan in that session with them. So, but in the questionnaire, there's a question about like goals and do you sleep well and what level your stress are and where you think the stress like it's a really inward looking questionnaire where they can find out things about themselves that they might not really uh know to ask, right, and to really uh note. So that's what I normally do. So after that giant questionnaire we go through that together and then we come up with a plan, including in my approach is I have a course that already created like a 12 weeks fertility course because some women who can't afford the one-on-one approach without the guidance, I do offer the course without me coaching them through it because it already has a generalized information. It's just not going to be the individualized part of the approach, right? So that course, I would pull out pieces of information and tell you which one of these really pertain to you. And then that's kind of my plan with them in that 60 minutes. And then since I can't order labs, I would tell them these are the labs you would need to get from your doctor because everybody has a physician who can order labs for them. And then I want to make sure that these labs are like not covered like, with the insurance and things like that so that I don't put more financial strain on them. So that's what I normally do to start. And then they go through that course and then we meet and then we talk about a lot of stuff. They also keep a journal with me when I go through this. So that's how I really individualize our plan is that journal of what they're eating and what they're doing is not just food. It's what are you moving your body or how do you feel? Like it's an actual journal with emotional prompts and all of that included in there. So I know how they are doing throughout the cycle, throughout the month, and we can pull out certain patterns that I see. Oh, maybe they're traveling during this part of the cycle and they feel more stressful. certain things like that is how I really help them see what their body is doing. So I think that's a little bit of a different, but I think the common ground that we both have is the nutrition part is always there, and to make sure that the individualized part to figuring out the clear picture of the beginning and helping them through the path, which is an important part, guys. And 3 to 6 months is really the magical time frame. If you expect to
Mhm.
get pregnant any sooner than that, it is not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I think that's important to talk about
Mhm.
because it can be hard to like figure out that mindset piece
Mhm.
of like, okay, I know I need to work on my body, but how long is reasonable? And yeah, and so getting comfortable with that. Okay, 3 months is probably the earliest.
Yeah,
But then thinking more like 6 months to even a year.
yeah.
Let because it takes time for the body to make these changes.
It's it's funny because the 6 months mark is when I was able to work with the client more one on one. The 1 year mark was one of my DIY. So she has only purchased the course and then she went through that on her own. And in about a year is when she was able to get pregnant. So it's really how you approach thing and how quickly you want to learn about your body. And I guess the resources too. I know that's also a big deal.
Mhm.
Everything is so expensive nowadays. But when you think about it though, we are nowhere near how much IVF costs, guys.
No.
Right? So I want to just emphasize that we are actually saving you guys money. Um, Working with us and then learning about your body, it actually help you in the future too, because IVF's really, if you think about it, it's a quick fix, an expensive quick fix.
Mhm.
Sometimes some people take like 7 cycle, which I don't even know how they go through all that. It's traumatic alone just to go through 1 cycle. But they're not really addressing your root cause. Like if you have insulin resistant, if you have inflammation, if you have stress, when are we going to address those things if not now, right? When you become a mom, do you think you have time to look at this? Right? I certainly did it when I became a mom and everything just kind of spiraled. So the sooner the better it is to really take care of you and take care of your health. Studies shown that, if we don't do anything, PCOS can lead to prediabetes and then diabetes complication down the line. Sometimes there's gestational diabetes that you will have to worry about too. Not everybody will have to go through this, but I want to make sure you also think about the future, right? What do you feel about taking care of them now and helping them prevent complication in the future? Because I'm a pharmacist, so I always think about that because all of the medication I dispense are heart medication, diabetes medications, and cholesterol medication. So those are big things that I'm trying to not have them go through.
Yes, right. I mean, those are again like happy side effects of the work that you and I are doing is to reduce, and prevent chronic disease because yeah, PCOS does set women up for, higher risks of I don't want to scare anyone here, but certain cancers or diabetes, like you just want to be more diligent.
Mhm.
But even aside of that is if you're not prepped for you're prepping your body for pregnancy and you go forward with IVF. I think you mentioned something briefly about this earlier. Getting pregnant is only one step of the process, right? Like you want to have your body set up for a healthy pregnancy because just that connection of the egg with the sperm, that's just one moment in time. And you want to have your hormones and your body all set up for that whole entire pregnancy so that you can hold that baby in your arms.
Yeah, full term pregnancy, guys, is what we're after. And
Hmm.
it's not just us that are prepping without the IVF, right? I talked to Camilla, host, which is another episode I published recently. And you guys know if you listen to this episode, she's an IVF coach, but she doesn't want you to do IVF unless you spend 3 months prepping with her. So it's not just us; it's the IVF coach as well. So this is basically a proven thing. So if you aren't prepping, it's not good. We need you to prep for at least 3 to 6 months. And not just the women, though. I feel like we put a lot of pressure on our own fertility, but I think sperm health and quality is like 50% to get a healthy baby too, right? Do you help with sperm health and quality as well, or do you mostly just focus on the woman?
Yes, I do have a module where we're talking about the sperm health and the sperm side of things because, yeah, I think right now the numbers are 30% of female infertility, 30% male, and then 30% unknown. Those are huge numbers because for us as women, I think we hold on to the stress more. We think it has to be our bodies that, are not working right, but it could very well be the guys. So let's bring them into the picture and get them doing all this stuff too.
Yeah, it's so important to get the guy involved, which I feel like it's a really fortunate thing. Most of my clients have really supportive spouses and partners, and they've been on board with all of the nutrition changes that I've created for the women, and I said, "Hey, your husband should be eating this too."
Right.
And they're great at getting their husband and their partner to try, which is really refreshing because I feel like not all women have the supportive partner, but I've been fortunate enough to work with ones who do. So we just can't forget about the partner too, right? Because when I was going through this, even though we haven't really tested my husband, like I was just carrying all the weight because, PCOS and myself.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I had said, oh, well, I'm making these changes. I don't want to do it by myself. And I want you to do it too. So he did it. And it might not really be healthy for him, but I think it was really helpful for him too, going through the 4 months with me. And I mean, we can't really say if he hadn't done that, would I be pregnant, right? We'll never really know. But
Mhm.
the fact of the matter is, we both did it, and I got pregnant naturally without really checking out. He was on. He was about to go get all the analysis done too,
Mm.
but we haven't even gone there, and I got pregnant already.
And got
So
pregnant.
So that's a pretty big component to for checking your partner's sperm as well. But I
Mhm.
think that's pretty much all the topics I had for today. I kind of want to now pivot over to how would our listener get in touch with you or reach out to you if they wanted to explore working with you. I'll post all the links, and you have really good links already in your email, so I think I can just use those, right? But
Right at the
if you
bottom.
want
Yeah.
to kind of highlight anything, any resources, any blog posts that you wanted them to particularly at, or maybe your podcast too. What are your podcasts called?
Yeah, yeah. So I have the PCOS Fertility Health podcast, and it comes out, well, just right now, I'm changing it to come out twice a week, which is pretty cool, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you want to know how to work with me and you're ready to get your body prepped for baby, then sign up for a free PCOS fertility breakthrough session at drangelapotter.com/PCOS. And that's a free call where you and I get to talk about your specific situation, what's going on with your fertility, and I'll help you understand, well, what's keeping you stuck? And then what is the most important next step to take in order to help your body get prepped for baby?
Awesome. That's amazing. Because, I mean, giving out time for free is a lot, guys. Like, our time is valuable. So if you do
Mhm.
sign up for this, make sure you show up because I know my fair share of non-show, no show. Um, but anyways, I wanted to say that your podcast come out twice a week. How do you
Yeah.
find the time?
So I'm doing shorter episodes that are like packed and so that I can do more. Instead of longer episodes once a week, it's a little bit shorter twice a
I
week.
used to do, if you guys listened to me before, a diabetes podcast during the
Cool.
pandemic. It was interesting because that's where I started first. And then I went through my fertility journey and I pivoted over to PCOS and fertility.
Yeah.
But I used to do once a week then too, and then I felt like it was a lot. So now for this podcast, I'm gonna do like twice a month.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're doing like twice a week. So that's why my brain just like blown right now about the frequency. But I think that would be really helpful for a lot of people because you're giving them a lot of information in like a shorter amount of time. So it's quicker to digest, easier to
Yeah.
digest, and they're able to get that information quickly. And I love that you have a breakthrough calls. I used to do that. I still did. I still do actually, because yesterday I had one with a client. I'm so like most people, I feel like it's more of a I don't know if you have this pushback, but well, I don't want to get on a call with someone I don't know from the internet. I feel like that's how I think about the internet and stranger. So I offer a little DM coaching. So that's how you will be able to reach out to me. Like I use my Instagram
Oh.
as a way to chat with so many women because it's just easier. And I have a lot of women from the UK who reached out.
Mhm.
And last year I worked with someone from Japan even. She's American, but her partner is stationed in Japan. So
Yeah,
she's in Japan and I was working with her. But because of the time difference, call isn't always an option for me. So I
yeah.
do a little DM coaching. So if you want to do that, on my side, you can always reach out to me on the DM. And that's how we get to know you and see if you are a good fit. You can also get to know us and see if we're a good fit for you because there's like so many fertility coaches who are focused on in PCOS. So it's important for you to like ask questions, get
Mhm.
to know us, and we'll get to know you, but be honest, right? And show up and actually commit because both of our times are valuable. I want to just emphasize that right now. As
Yes.
you know, we're doing a lot. We're all busy and we want to help you truly, right? But you really have to show up and be committed as well. So
Mhm.
I think that's an amazing offer that you have still doing the breakthrough call. So I will put the link down for that in our
Oh,
podcast notes. And thank you so much for joining me today. I think it was a really fun co-hosting an episode with you. That I haven't
oh,
done this before,
yes.
so this was new.